no contact. It's seen as the ultimate emotional remedy in the modern age. People say, if you want them back, go no contact. If you want to heal, go no contact. Everywhere you look. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. The advice is the same. It's simple, powerful, and sounds like a win-win. But what if we pause for a moment and ask, is silence really healing? Or is it deepening a wound we're too afraid to face? For many, no contact feels like reclaiming power. You stop the endless conversations, the tears, the confusion. You remove yourself from a cycle. But what happens when that silence becomes louder than all the arguments you ever had? What happens when your mind starts replaying every moment, every word, and every what if? No contact assumes that both people understand what's happening, but often, they don't. Imagine loving someone deeply, sharing laughter, tears, moments that changed you, and then one day, they vanish. No explanation. No goodbye. Just silence. To someone with abandonment issues or unresolved trauma, this can feel like betrayal, even if your intention was to protect your peace. The message they receive is, you didn't even care enough to say goodbye. It reinforces their worst belief. I wasn't worth closure. And here's something people rarely talk about. Silence isn't always strength. Yes, it removes the noise, but it can also become a form of emotional avoidance. We don't want to face the pain, the confrontation, the vulnerability, so we disappear and call it healing. But healing, real healing, often requires honesty, and sometimes, uncomfortable conversations. No contact can give us a sense of power, yes, but what kind of power is it? Is it power rooted in peace or ego? Sometimes, no contact becomes a tool to control the narrative, to say, I decide how this ends. I decide what you're allowed to feel. It's like rewriting the story and cutting the other person out of the final chapter. That's not always empowerment. Sometimes, that's fear in disguise. And what about regret? Not every breakup is toxic. Not every relationship ends because of betrayal or abuse. Sometimes it ends because two broken people didn't know how to love each other properly, because timing was wrong, or words failed, or silence already started creeping in long before the goodbye. Months after going no contact, you might find yourself lying awake at night, not because you missed them, but because you realized they weren't the villain, they were human, and maybe, just maybe, they were willing to grow. But now, it's too late. You burned the bridge before checking if it could have been repaired. This kind of regret doesn't scream. It whispers. Late at night, while scrolling through old photos, hearing songs that used to be yours, or passing by familiar places, and it asks, what if I'd just had one more honest conversation? Now, let's talk about something darker. When no contact is used, not for healing, but for manipulation. Some people go silent, not to find peace, but to make the other person suffer. They cut off communication just to create anxiety, to gain control, to make someone beg or chase. This isn't no contact. This is emotional warfare. There's a difference between setting boundaries and using silence as punishment. One says, I need time to heal. The other says, you'll suffer until I decide you've earned me back. That's not healing. That's cruelty dressed up as self-care. So where does that leave us? Is no contact bad? Not always. In cases of narcissistic abuse, codependency, or trauma cycles, it can be like, sometimes, you have no choice but to walk away and never look back. But for the rest of us, in real, complex, imperfect relationships, there might be a better way, one rooted not in fear, but in honesty. It's called conscious closure, a mature, respectful decision to part ways, with words, with understanding, with dignity. Sometimes, healing doesn't mean slamming the door. It means gently closing it, with love, because in the end, no contact isn't the hero or the villain. It's just a tool, and like all tools, it depends on how you use it. Ask yourself, am I using silence to heal, or to hide, to grow, or to control? Real healing isn't silent. It's honest, it's messy, and it's real. So, what's your story? Have you gone no contact before? Did it help you find peace, or leave you with more questions than answers? Let's talk about it in the comments, because someone out there needs to hear your side of the silence. And if this video gave you a new perspective, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's walking through quiet pain right now. You're not alone, you're just healing.